Sweaty palms? Don't sweat it. Ever held your girlfriend's hand and noticed her palms are unusually sweaty? Don't worry, you're not alone. Sweaty palms can be a bit surprising, but it's usually nothing to panic about. In fact, there are some pretty interesting reasons behind it. And guess what? Most of them are totally normal and manageable. So, what's going on behind those sweaty palms? It could be anything from a little stress to a hot day, or even some fascinating hormonal changes. Stick around because in this video, we're diving deep into the science of sweat and giving you the lowdown on why your girlfriend's palms might be getting a little clammy. We'll explore the common causes, bust some myths, and give you some helpful tips on how to manage sweaty palms so you can both feel more comfortable and confident. Let's get to it. Okay, let's talk about stress. We've all been there, right? That big presentation at work, a first date, or even just a stressful commute. These situations can make anyone sweat a little extra. And you know what? That's totally normal. See, when we get stressed or anxious, our bodies kick into this ancient survival mode called the fight or flight response. It's like our internal alarm system going off, telling us to either face the challenge or run for the hills. And when that alarm goes off, our bodies release a surge of hormones, including adrenaline. Now, adrenaline is a powerful hormone. It gets our hearts pumping, our breathing faster, and yes, it also triggers our sweat glands. And for some reason, our bodies love to activate the sweat glands in our hands and feet when we're stressed. It's like our body's way of saying, hey, I'm ready for action, even if all we're doing is sitting in traffic. So, if you notice your girlfriend's palms getting a little sweaty during a stressful situation, don't freak out. It's just her body's natural response to stress, and it doesn't mean she's freaking out on the inside. In fact, it's a perfectly normal physiological reaction. Now, some people are more prone to stress sweating than others, and that's okay too. Genetics, personality, and even past experiences can all play a role in how our bodies react to stress. The important thing is to recognize those triggers and find healthy ways to manage stress. We'll talk more about managing sweaty palms later in the video, but for now, just remember that stress sweating is a normal part of the human experience. So far, we've been talking about sweaty palms that happen because of stress, heat, or exercise. But what if those sweaty palms are always there, even when she's relaxed and comfortable? Well, in those cases, there might be something else going on, something called palmar hyperhidrosis. Now, don't let the fancy medical terms scare you. Palmar hyperhidrosis is simply a condition where the sweat glands in the palms are a little overactive. It means that even when the body doesn't need to cool down, those sweat glands are working overtime, producing more sweat than usual. It's like their internal thermostat is set a little too high specifically for their hands. And while it's not a serious health threat, it can be embarrassing and frustrating to deal with constantly sweaty palms. Now, we don't know exactly what causes palmar hyperhidrosis, but it's thought to be related to genetics. So, if someone in her family has it, she might be more likely to have it too. The good news is that palmar hyperhidrosis is very treatable. There are special antiperspirants, medications, and even procedures that can help reduce sweating and keep those palms dry. If you think your girlfriend might have palmar hyperhidrosis, it's important to talk to her about it and encourage her to see a doctor. They can help figure out the best treatment plan for her. Chapter 3. Hormone Havoc, How Her Cycle Can Affect Her Sweat. Let's talk about something that affects billions of women worldwide: hormones. These tiny chemical messengers play a huge role in regulating many bodily functions, and you guessed it, sweating is one of them. Hormonal fluctuations, especially during certain times of the month, can definitely make those palms a little sweatier than usual. Think of it like this. Hormones are like the conductors of an orchestra, ensuring every instrument plays its part at the right time. But sometimes those conductors get a little carried away, and the music gets a bit sweaty. For women, these hormonal shifts are a natural part of life, influencing everything from energy levels to emotions and, you guessed it, sweat production. One of the most significant hormonal events is, of course, the menstrual cycle. Throughout the month, levels of estrogen and progesterone ebb and flow, leading to various changes in a woman's body. During the week leading up to her period, progesterone levels rise, causing a slight increase in body temperature. Now, this tiny temperature bump might not seem like a big deal, but it's enough to trigger those sweat glands to work a little harder, especially in the palms. It's like her body's way of saying, hey, things are heating up in here. But it's not just periods. Other hormonal changes, like those during puberty, pregnancy, or even menopause, can also impact sweat production. Puberty is like a hormonal roller coaster, with estrogen levels surging and causing all sorts of changes, including increased sweating. Pregnancy is another time of major hormonal upheaval, and increased sweating is a common side effect. And during menopause, those fluctuating estrogen levels can lead to those infamous hot flashes, which often come with, you guessed it, sweaty palms. The important thing to remember is that hormonal changes are a natural part of being a woman, and sweating is just one way the body responds to these changes. So, if you notice your girlfriend's palms getting a little clammy during certain times of the month, don't be alarmed. It's just her hormones doing their thing. Chapter 4. Heat and exercise. Sometimes it's just basic biology. Alright, let's keep it real. Sometimes, sweaty palms are just a sign that things are heating up, literally. Our bodies are pretty amazing machines, and they have this incredible built-in cooling system, sweat. When our internal temperature rises, whether it's from a scorching summer day or an intense workout, our brains tell those sweat glands to get to work. Think of it like this: your body is like a car engine, and sweat is the coolant that prevents it from overheating. When the engine gets too hot, the coolant kicks in to regulate the temperature and keep things running smoothly. The same goes for our bodies. When we get hot, our brains send signals to our sweat glands, telling them to release sweat, which then evaporates from our skin, taking some of that heat with it. Pretty cool, right? Now, our palms have a high concentration of sweat glands, which is why they tend to sweat more than other parts of our bodies. So, if you're holding hands with your girlfriend on a hot day, or after she's been hitting the gym, it's totally normal for her palms to be a bit sweaty. It's just her body's way of staying cool and comfortable. Of course, some people sweat more than others, even in the same conditions. Factors like genetics, body mass, and even fitness level can all play a role in how much we sweat. But generally speaking, if the weather's warm or she's been physically active, those sweaty palms are nothing to be concerned about. Just remember, sweating is a natural and essential bodily function that helps regulate our temperature and keeps us from overheating. So next time you notice those sweaty palms, don't be grossed out, appreciate the science behind it. So there you have it, the lowdown on why your girlfriend's palms might be a little sweaty. As we've learned, it's usually nothing to be concerned about. Whether it's stress, hormones, heat, or just her body's natural cooling system doing its thing, sweaty palms are a common and usually harmless occurrence. Remember, communication is key in any relationship. If you're ever unsure about something, don't hesitate to talk to your girlfriend about it. A little understanding and empathy can go a long way in making both of you feel more comfortable and confident. If you found this helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more health tips and relationship advice. Drop a comment if you've ever experienced this. We'd love to hear your story. Thanks for watching. See you next time.